The city was alive with the promise of fall. Kate, a bright-eyed freshman, unpacked boxes in her shared apartment. Her roommate, Emily, seemed nice enough. Quiet, with long dark hair and piercing blue eyes, Emily had a reserved demeanor that hinted at a hidden intensity. They talked about their classes, their families, their hopes for the future. Everything seemed normal at least for two strangers thrown together by the whims of college housing assignments. The first few weeks passed without incident. They fell into an easy routine of late-night study sessions and weekend adventures exploring the city. Emily, it turned out, was an art student. Her drawings were dark and evocative, filled with strange creatures and haunting landscapes. Kate, a budding writer, found herself drawn to Emily's artistic talent. They were an unlikely pair, but somehow it worked. Or so Kate thought. One night, Kate woke up to a strange sound, a soft creak, like footsteps outside her door. She listened intently, her heart pounding in her chest. The sound came again, closer this time. Slowly, cautiously, Kate crept out of bed and tiptoed to the door. Peeking through the peephole, she saw something that sent a chill down her spine. Emily was standing at the end of the hallway, bathed in the dim light of the emergency exit sign. She was perfectly still, her arms stiffly at her sides, her eyes wide and unblinking. Kate watched in disbelief as Emily stood there for what felt like an eternity. Then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, Emily turned and walked back down the hallway, disappearing into her room. The next morning, Kate tried to brush off the strange encounter. Maybe Emily was a sleepwalker. Maybe she'd just been getting some water. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. And that seed grew with each passing day as Emily's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would catch Emily staring at her with an unnerving intensity. She found strange notes scattered around the apartment, scribbled with cryptic messages that made no sense. Once, she even woke up in the middle of the night to find Emily standing over her bed, her face illuminated by the pale glow of her phone. When confronted, Emily would always have an explanation, a perfectly reasonable excuse that left Kate feeling foolish for even asking. The tension in the apartment became suffocating. Kate couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that every move she made was being scrutinized by unseen eyes. She started sleeping with the lights on, afraid of what might be lurking in the shadows. One night, Kate woke up from a nightmare to find Emily sitting at the foot of her bed. Her eyes were wide and unblinking, her lips curled into a chilling smile. "You were having a bad dream," Emily said, her voice a low whisper. "I came to make sure you were okay." Kate's heart pounded in her chest. "I'm fine," she stammered, trying to sound braver than she felt. Emily just continued to stare at her, her smile widening. "I know," she said softly. "I know everything about you." Section 5. A Diary of Disturbing Thoughts. Kate's worst fears were confirmed when she discovered that Emily had been reading her diary. But it wasn't just the invasion of privacy that terrified her. It was the content of the diary entries themselves. Entries that Kate knew she hadn't written. Entries that described in vivid detail disturbing fantasies and violent impulses. Emily had somehow gotten into Kate's head, twisting her thoughts, manipulating her fears. The diary was no longer a safe space for Kate to explore her innermost thoughts and feelings. It had become a weapon, a tool for Emily to use against her. Section 6. Panic and flight. Panic seized Kate. She had to get out of there. Grabbing her phone and a few essential belongings, Kate fled the apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she couldn't stay there another minute. The thought of being trapped in that apartment with Emily, with her chilling smiles and her disturbing secrets, was unbearable. As she ran, she could feel Emily's eyes on her, watching her, following her every move. The city lights seemed to blur together in a dizzying kaleidoscope of fear and adrenaline. She didn't slow down until she reached the safety of a brightly lit coffee shop, the sounds and smells of normalcy washing over her like a soothing balm. Section 7. The truth revealed. The police were called. Kate, still shaken and terrified, told them everything. About the strange behavior, the unsettling notes, the diary entries that weren't hers. At first, they didn't believe her. They thought she was just a stressed-out college student, imagining things, but then they found Emily. She was still in the apartment, sitting on the floor of her room, surrounded by her dark and disturbing drawings. She didn't resist arrest. In fact, she seemed almost relieved to be caught. It was as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Section 8. The Weight of Fear. As the weeks turned into months, Kate slowly started to piece her life back together. She moved into a new apartment, this time with a friend she trusted. She focused on her studies, finding solace in the written word. But the memory of that time, of Emily's haunting presence, continued to linger. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had been changed by that experience, marked by it in some profound and irrevocable way. She started seeing a therapist, hoping to understand what had happened, to make sense of the fear that still clung to her like a shadow. Section 9. Moving on, haunted by the past. Life went on. Kate graduated college, got a job, fell in love. But every now and then the memories would resurface, unbidden and unwelcome. She would see Emily's face in a crowd, hear her voice in the dead of night, feel the phantom touch of her cold, clammy hand on her arm. She learned that Emily had been institutionalized, diagnosed with a severe mental illness. Part of her felt sorry for Emily, for the tortured soul that lurked beneath the surface. But another part of her, a primal and instinctive part, couldn't help but feel a flicker of fear, a deep-seated terror that whispered of things best left buried in the darkness.